Hello and welcome to another show review. This is a show review, and I have recently been on an adventure with the bird, the plane, the Superman, and my adventures with Superman have been pretty good. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like Superman as a character. I hate Superman. I think he's way too overpowered and way too much of like a goody two shoes. I don't think he's displayed very well. He's not like he doesn't have human emotions. Or when I've been watching the Superman movies, I've hated them. He's never really been a superhero that I like. I quite despise Superman, if I'm going to be honest. I will say that I hate Superman and I hate Iron Man, and they're like the main faces of DC and Marvel. I'm going to be honest, but I didn't really like Henry Cavill Superman either. I've never liked Superman in any form of media, in movies, animated movies, video games, or shows. I think he's too overpowered, and I've never really liked him. However, that's until today. We have Clark Kent builds his secret Superman identity and embraces his roles as the hero of Metropolis, while sharing adventures and falling in love with Lois, a journalist who takes Jimmy Olsen under her wing. So how this show starts is Lois Lane is already a trainee, an apprentice at Daily Planet, and Jimmy and Clark are on their first day. They then get sent with Lois. Lois lies to them and tries to follow her own story, which the chief says not to follow. She then lies to the other two and makes them do it anyway. They get attacked by the robots, and then Superman saves them, but he's hiding his identity. Lois then wants to follow the Superman story, and she does for like the next couple of episodes until she eventually finds out that, he's Superman, and her and Jimmy have intentionally been throwing themselves in danger to get Superman to save them. We have some interesting villains being introduced, some very uncommon villains like Livewire, the triplets, what's he called? He's like Venom, but not Venom. It really bugged me how much of like Venom he was. Parasite, that's it. That's his name. I'm going to forget that later on, so if I do accidentally call him Venom, please do forgive me. But yeah, they intentionally go and throw themselves into danger so that Superman will save them, so hopefully they get a chance at an interview, which isn't a good thing. But Lois then finds out that he is Superman, and they miss out on a trip to find the Sasquatch with Jimmy. So he goes on his own, gets kidnapped by a giant monkey. They go search for him the next day, and they open a black hole, which lets Mr. Astronaut through. And the League of Lois Lanes, which is the interdimensional team of Lois Lanes. And they capture him and start attacking Superman. And our Lois Lane finds Ball, which has a video on it, which is Superman destroying the city. They then go back to their own timeline. He unlocks his super hearing and starts going down after the General, because the General's been kidnapping the villains that they've been fighting previously, and then he sets them all loose like a Suicide Squad to find and fight Superman, which I think is quite interesting, especially with the way they went around it, because it isn't the usual Suicide Squad members. Then he sets them all, they set themselves free and go off on their own. Superman then is still on the hunt for the General, and the General actually lets him go and has like a little bit of a light side to him. Then they go have Thanksgiving at the Clark house. Flamebird, which is Jimmy's sort of news thing, like his YouTube podcast, because everyone has a fucking YouTube podcast around about now, that blows up, and he documents, obviously, Superman's adventures that he goes on with him. And then they have Thanksgiving, the ship rises up out the ground, and everyone loves Superman again at the end, and he is Metropolis's crowned hero. That's just a quick run through of the story. Again, I did miss out key details and some key things, because I do want you to go watch this yourself. And I really like this iteration of Superman, because he isn't like the all-being powerful creature that doesn't get hurt, that doesn't have human emotions, and is always happy. He does get angry. He does get sad. He does get depressed, as we see throughout the series, when he's being treated like this monster, and how everyone's being scared of him. It upsets him because he doesn't know how to fix it. He doesn't want to scare people. He wants to save people. He wants to help people. He does have that positive, optimistic attitude of the average superhero. But again, it does waver when the people turn on him and be like, no, he's a monster. We don't want him near us. We don't want him here. And that does cause a little bit of depression in him. And I like that. It shows that he has more emotions than just being the average superhero. He also, he is bulletproof and he is fireproof, but he still gets damage from it. Not like the normal amount of damage, but he still gets cuts and scrapes and it still hurts him. I like that. I like how it can't kill him, but it does still hurt him and it still does affect him. Like in most of the fights he gets in, he still gets cuts and scrapes and bruises and stuff like that, and the characters around see it and notice it, so it is actually there, and it's not just a design choice, but it makes him seem more human. It makes him seem more relatable, like he can still get hurt, and he's not this just all-powerful being that's like immortal, can't get hurt, and can just do anything he wants. I like that. It gives him a little bit more personality and a little bit more connection with him. He also unlocks his powers slowly, which I also like. He hasn't unlocked Freeze Breath yet. He's got laser eyes and super hearing, flight, and super strength, but he doesn't have anything else. I think that's really cool. I think how he's slowly unlocking his powers is really interesting as well. So he doesn't just start off as this like almighty powerful being. He's learning how to use his powers, and we see the toll that it has on him. Because with his super hearing, like how everyone says, super hearing would be awful. Hearing everyone all the time and it all being super loud, it does affect him. He's struggling to sleep. He's having to drink caffeine to keep up with it and to save everyone because he's hearing everyone's problems and they're all so loud and he complains about it. He doesn't like this super hearing, and I like that. It's giving him more personality than just, I'm a hero, I can do anything I want. I know my nitpick with Superman is that he only has one weakness of kryptonite, and that has also been changed. Kryptonite is a poison to him, but it changes in a way where it just has to be near him, and I know that's the normal thing, but it starts building crystals on his body and turning him into stone, which I like. That's a new sort of feature of kryptonite that's been introduced with this new Superman thing. And I only watched this because Netflix wasn't working, so I had to go to All 4 for my fucking media source. But again, I'm so glad that I watched this because it is such a better interpretation of Superman. He's much more human and connectable. Like, I feel myself being able to connect to him more with all his sort of problems and his baggage being shown through this series. I don't like it when he's just this superhero that can do anything, always happy, always positive, he can do whatever he wants, he's Superman. I like all this sort of trauma and trouble that he's going through. I know it's awful to say that, but still, it makes him more human and more relatable. The animation style is also really good. It reminds me of the old DC animation style, which is also really cool. The intro is very anime. I'm going to be honest, the intro is like an anime intro. The music, the sort of scenery, how the intro plays out. It's only a short intro, but again, as soon as I watched it, I was like, yo, that's anime. This is like trying to rip on anime intros, which is really cool. His suit is interesting as well. I like all the little designs and how they're not trying to over sort of... I like the subtle designs on superhero suits. Like, it doesn't have to be over the top like the MCU. It can just be simple and subtle, and I like how they kept Superman's suit subtle as well. It's just very simple, very comic accurate, very comic-y. The voice actors are really good. They managed to get Huey from The Boys to voice Superman, and I'm going to be honest, he fits the Superman role. When I first started watching it, I'm like, yeah, that's off-putting. I don't feel like he fits the Superman role. But as I watched more and as I learned more about this Superman across the 10, 20-minute episodes, so you can't bash it all out in one day like I did, but it just fits. I don't know why, I just feel like he is the best Superman voice. And he I don't know, it just feels more human and connectable. I keep going back to that point because I've never really had like this connection with Superman. I've never really had, you know how you need to connect with characters to sort of feel them and have emotions with them? But with superheroes, some of them are quite hard to connect with because they don't have problems. They just seem to have this perfect life, so you can't connect with them too much. This Superman doesn't have that. This Superman has the connection, has the problems you can sort of connect with and like sort of connect with and care more about the character with. I like that. This Superman is my favorite Superman. He is my Superman. I want this Superman and this style of Superman to continue from here on out. I like his problems. I don't know. I've never liked Superman, but I like this Superman. And I can't stress that enough. This is like the best Superman. Everything else about this show, the voice acting is good, the animation is good, the bad guy choice is also really good. They don't choose like big Superman bad guys like Lex Luthor. They choose the Suicide Squad, which is really interesting, but it's not a main Suicide Squad that we all know with King Shark, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn. It is a bunch of obscure characters. It's Livewire. It's Poison, whatever his name is, the sort of robot guy with, it's like a Venom. Just call him Venom for now. And then we also have these triplets, which have this superhero tech which came from Superman. And we've always had this thing where Superman can talk to his father in his ship or in the Fortress of Solitude. But with this one, his father speaks a different language, which I think is interesting as well, because why would Krypton speak English, like speak perfect English? So I'm very happy with this sort of language barrier between them and how they don't understand each other's motives. It's just a really cool show, and it's a really nice twist on Superman with a lot of good changes, and I think these changes are for the better. So I'm going to give this show a good, like a solid 9 out of 10. I hate Superman, so that is a gift. That is a fucking gift in my book. I know DC isn't getting a lot of love right now, so I'm going to try my best to watch as much DC content and get reviews out of it and play as much DC content on the channel, because DC isn't getting a lot of love in the media right now. It's all about Marvel, and it's all about everything else. And I was a DC boy before I was a Marvel boy, so I'm going to jump on the DC bandwagon and try and push it back to mainstream. So other than that, hope you'll enjoy it, and goodbye.